Hey guys, so I'm back in the United States. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm very, very excited to announce that the Korean from Scratch series is back! It's back! Today is the first day, starting again. I've been waiting for this for quite some time now, but I wanted to wait till the time was right, and that time is now! So I've got about a 1 hour walk to one of my favorite coffee shops. It's quite new actually, I'd never seen it until I came back. It's a great place to work and study Korean, so I'm going to be walking there now and listening to probably quite a few lessons of Talk to Me in Korean. So I'll be starting from the very beginning all over again. I can't wait, I'm so excited. So I'm almost at the coffee shop. I've been walking for about 45 minutes, and I came to this little tiny park right uptown. It's beautiful, and so I decided to take a seat on a bench next to this little monument and just continue listening to my lessons. I've got to tell you guys, I'm having such a nice morning. I mean, I always talk about how dead time is, so valuable for language learning and many other things, and so taking the time to walk into town and listen to my Korean lessons. I'm walking, so it's exercise. That feels good. I'm enjoying the views and the weather and the turn of the seasons from summer into fall, and I feel so productive because I'm learning Korean all the while. So I don't know. I just want to share with you guys. I feel so good right now to be learning Korean again. And I'm really glad that I'm, doing this series because this was my favorite series I think I ever did. And so yeah, I just really hope you guys are going to like it. And it feels good to be back. It's been a really, really long 8 months since I was last here. So yeah, so I guess now it's time to get back on the road and finally head over to Central Coffee. It feels so good to do that again. Okay, so we are here at the coffee shop. I'm all set up, and today I want to give you guys an overview of sort of where the project stands, where my Korean stands right now, and sort of how we're going to move forward with this. So this morning I decided to see how much Korean I could remember, and basically I could remember three things. 안녕하세요, which is hello, 감사합니다, which is thank you, and 저기요, which I don't even know why I could remember that, but for some reason it just stuck out in my memory and I couldn't even remember what it meant. So I looked it up and it means excuse me, like if you're trying to get someone's attention. And that's all I could remember. I tried to read something in Hangul and I couldn't read anything. There were a couple of letters that I think I remembered, but at this point I can't read anything in Hangul. So basically, I've forgotten almost everything that I learned in those 6 short but very productive days previously. And I actually think this is a good thing. I think this is something we can turn into a positive because this is actually a great illustration of real language learning. The fact is that sometimes we start projects, we learn a lot of a language sometimes, and life happens and you have to put things on hold. And the fact of the matter is, language is extremely fluid in our memories, and you can forget a surprising amount of a language if you don't stick with it and you don't maintain it, especially if you don't reach what I call the maintenance phase. And because when you're a lower level, everything's very fluid and slippery, and you lose it pretty quickly. However, it's also really important to know and understand that you can get it back very quickly, that all is not lost, it's just sort of dormant, inactive. So I think this is a fantastic opportunity to sort of document that process as well, that very realistic, real life part of language learning, which is that, sometimes life happens and we fall off and we forget things, and it's no reason to quit. It's no reason to be discouraged. You just gotta get back on the boat and it will all come back to you. Furthermore, this actually is a very useful process because in my experience, whenever you forget things, whenever you sort of stop for a little while, when you come back, if you take that opportunity to revise everything you already learned, I can promise you that by the time you get back to where you were before, you're going to understand everything you knew previously on a much deeper level. Everything's going to make a lot more sense to you that second time or third time or fourth time through. And so that's actually something I do in all my languages. I frequently will go back and I will sort of skim through a beginner book, or I will go and do some pretty detailed work on the basics, and I find that it's a process that works fantastically. So let's say I'm studying a language and I get through all the beginner stuff and I start to be kind of intermediate. I will go back all the way to the start, just whenever I feel like it, and I'll do it all over again, more quickly. But then I'll realize, this makes so much more sense now. Very often I'll hit like a saturation point. So it happened in Korean. I have to say, last time when I stopped studying Korean, I was at that saturation point. I had taken in a lot of Korean in like 5 or 6 days, and it was starting to be a bit confusing. So I guarantee you that now, when I go back through it, it's all going to make so much more sense to me. So once again, that's just to say that A, this is a natural thing that happens to all of us, even the most accomplished polyglots, and B, there are some positives to it as well, and it's no reason to get discouraged and give up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is basically be starting from scratch again. So I went and got myself a brand new little notebook. It's not very expensive, it's pretty simple, but it's a nice black notebook, and I enjoy, taking the time to decorate the notebook, label it, make it look nice. To me, it's like a house for my knowledge, so I'd rather my knowledge live in a nice, well-built house. I think that one of the biggest mistakes people make is they spread themselves too thin, far too early, and you end up with way too many resources you're using at the same time. So I wanted to basically focus my efforts on the Talk to Me in Korean course, level 1. Which I really liked a lot. And then that's split into 2. So there's the PDF, and then there are the MP3 files. Then I found a memorized course that somebody had made, and it's basically all of the lessons from Talk to Me in Korean. So really, it's actually one resource that I'm just using in 3 different ways, which is a great idea. Whether that be a course, whether that be a drama, a film, a song, the more ways that you can find to use that resource, the better, especially in the beginning when you don't want to be overwhelmed. So I first like to listen to the MP3 files. I love that because dead time is king. I talk about dead time all the time and how it's just every successful polyglot's maybe most sacred sort of tool for success, dead time. Become a master of your dead time and you will succeed with language learning and learning many other skills. So the audio lessons are great because I spend a lot of time walking. I walk a lot. I do dishes. I iron my clothes. There is so much dead time in my day. And so I can listen to quite a lot of those audio lessons throughout one day. And when I get saturated and I think, okay, I'm a little too far ahead, I'll go back and listen to them again. The second thing is then I'll go through the PDF and I will actually read the lesson. And I'll write down and make notes. That's what the notebook would be for. And that helps me to kind of solidify everything I heard. Because I already heard it in the lesson, so I'm familiar with the content. And then I get to actually see it. I can see the Hangul, and I can practice writing it down. I can sort of go over and see if there's anything I didn't catch in the first time through with the audio. And then the third component, which is just the thing that really pulls it all together. You guys know I like memorizing or Ankiing. I like using these systems. And so some just saint, he made a memorized course that contains all of the vocab, example sentences, from the entire catalog of Talk to Me in Korean lessons in a memorized course. So it's fantastic, and they're all organized by chapter and by level. So the third component is that I go through and I use that course and I handwrite everything. If I find myself somewhere and I don't have a notebook, I'll just find any piece of paper, as you can see here. I'll just write out everything by hand. And it's amazing. So I have 3 different ways that I'm sort of digesting and assimilating that content of those Talk to Me in Korean lessons. And for now, I'm totally happy with that. So That's what I was doing before, and I think I got to about lesson 12. I have to go back and see. But so I'm going to go back to the beginning. So today, what I suspect will happen is I'll be going through these lessons and it's all going to come back to me. Everything I forgot will be like, yes, I remember that. Except for there will be certain things that didn't make so much sense to me before that I guarantee you will make more sense to me now. And I'm pretty sure, because I've done this many, many times with many different languages, when I reach the same stage that I'd gotten to before, I think I'm going to be far better. I think that I'll have a far better understanding. And where I was saturated at level 12 or 13 before, I think that when I get to level 12 or 13 now, I'm going to be ready to go. I'm still going to be just good to go, roaring for more content and more knowledge. I'm very excited because I had previously purchased 2 courses that are video courses from Talk to Me in Korean, and I think they're probably meant for far more advanced learners. They're courses based on short stories. So basically there are people that are native Korean speakers telling a story that lasts a few minutes, and then they go through and break down all the vocabulary and the grammar. Now, ever since I saw that, I thought that is solid gold. I could use that and just explode my Korean knowledge. So I'm pretty excited to try that out, except for I need to make sure I get a stronger basis first. So I'm going to be going through these Talk to Me in Korean lessons. I'll be updating you guys regularly on how it goes, and what I'm learning and how it feels and my strategy. Because the strategy will change. It will adapt and develop. That's how it should be. You shouldn't be so rigid. You shouldn't start something and then decide this is what it's going to be until I'm fluent. And then if that feels wrong or you find something new, you shouldn't tell yourself, no, I have to stick to this. You need to be consistent, but you also need to be flexible. So I will be continuing with that until I feel like I have a strong enough basis, and then I will start to experiment with more authentic materials, such as the short stories course from Talk to Me Korean, and frankly, maybe even Korean dramas or Korean music. I'd be very interested to try to start looking at Korean song lyrics and see if I'm able to dissect them. Because that's a good indicator. Once you get to the point where, as long as you have a dictionary, you're able to dissect and understand content chunks, that's a really good sign. That's when you can just move on to authentic content and you will see huge results. But the key is you have to get a strong enough basis to where you're able to do that. If you look at a piece of content and even with a dictionary and other resources, you just can't make sense of it, well, you need a stronger basis. You haven't covered enough ground yet. So that's it. We're going to be doing this together. I'm really excited. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts, comments. Obviously, please subscribe and share this with people learning Korean, but also other languages. Because the point is that I want this to not just be a series for Korean learners. I want this to be a series for anyone learning a new language. So we can do it together and go through all the hurdles, the obstacles, and also celebrate the successes, because I'm a firm believer that you should celebrate all the small successes, right? So every time you hear somebody on the bus who's Korean, in my case, if I can understand anything they say, that's a win. If I listen to a Korean song and I understand something, that's a win. If I'm watching a Korean drama and I actually follow the plot, whatever it is, those are all successes that I want to share with you guys, and that I want you to also relish in your own language learning. So my new blog is almost done. The previous blog still exists. It's thelifeofrob.com. You can find a link in the description, and very soon it'll be the same URL but a brand new blog, and I'll be writing lots of articles all about learning Korean and other things, and my Japanese lessons will also be continuing. So I'll be getting back to all my content, and hopefully it's going to be much more consistent and much more exciting. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for following me. Please go and watch the first 6 episodes of Korean from Scratch, and I'll see you in the next video.